headlights carved white through the rain as her Lexus nudged past my chain, like it was a suggestion the deck still curing under a wet plastic sheen. The creek below roaring like a freight train. You feel in your ribs, and when a single bolt pinged like a tuning fork, I already had 9111 in my ear, saying the words I never wanted to say. Private bridge, posted closed driver ignored every sign. Then the nose dipped, the rail breathed, and gravity did what gravity always does. I'm Owen Carter, and before that night, I honestly believed boundaries meant something here in Willow Bend Shores, a small lake community where folks wave from their porches, and the loudest thing most mornings is a pair of geese that never learned about inside voices. The bridge had been my headache long before Karen Whitfield showed up with a ruler and a smile that meant trouble, long before the HOA newsletters and fines and Facebook posts. It was built in the 70s. It sits squarely on my parcel, and when the engineer's letter said, "unsafe," close immediately, I sank steel posts, slapped up a red board that read, "Bridge closed. Danger and scheduled rehab. Under county permit, CH 23481. 2 extra minutes around the hill on the county road. That's all anyone lost. You'd have thought I put a toll booth on the interstate. The first time Karen knocked 6:02 a.m. on a Tuesday, she measured my mailbox and announced 43 inches like she'd discovered contraband. I told her the mailbox was fine, and that the bridge, the gate, the tape, all of it was on parcel 041713, not HOA common. She didn't like that sentence, not the facts of it, not the tone of it, not the idea of anything sitting outside her clipboard. The very next night, my signs vanished. The chain was cut, reflective. Tape floated down the creek like party streamers. And the trail camera I set up afterward caught a red sleeve tugging on my barrier at 2:11 a.m., with a tiny white dog trotting like it had an appointment. I printed the still and taped it to the post. Smile, you're on camera. And woke up to a $250 fine for obstructing access, because apparently my property was blocking their feelings. Nora, my wife, said the thing she always says when chaos tries to cosplay as authority: document, don't take the bait. So I did. But bait has a way of waving at you. Emergency HOA meeting. I didn't attend Tom Keating texting me, play-by-play from his couch. She's calling it shared infrastructure because people used it for years. And him typing back the truest line in this whole mess: using isn't owning, you know what I mean. Then came the glossy newsletter, with Karen posing at my gate under the headline, "Community Leadership Responds to Infrastructure. Crisis fines stacked like junk mail. Hazard improper signage, denying access." And an orange "Stop Work" tag slapped onto my post by an anonymous complaint. Inspector Hargrave walked the line at 3:10 p.m., calm as a porch swing read my laminated permit, tore the tag off in front of 2 board members who suddenly forgot how to make eye contact, and said the sentence nobody in a blazer wants to hear. "No HOA jurisdiction on this parcel. If you want control, you can buy an easement." Karen smiled like a storm cloud and said, "We'll see what legal decides," which turned out to be small claims for damage to her car and emotional distress from my allegedly hostile barricade. My lawyer skimmed 2 lines, tapped the engineer letter, and said what I needed to hear. "We filed to dismiss. Keep your cool. Let the paper trail do the shouting for you." That was Act 1, me trying to be reasonable while a neighbor made being right into a hobby. Act 2 is where things tilt. The forecast turned ugly. The creek got louder. We poured the new deck and posted 72 hours to cure, and the group chat lit up with a post calling my closed bridge a blocked evacuation route, which is cute given we're 8 cul-de-sacs and a picnic shelter. I slept in my boots because sometimes you just know the test is coming. At 11:58 p.m., her headlights found the chain. And this is the part where you either believe in rules or you don't. I told her through the rain not to do it. She lifted a wrench like she was swatting a fly, popped the lock like she'd practiced at home, and said she had a meeting in the morning and wouldn't take the long way because I was stubborn. It's not about me, I said, it's physics. It's liability. It's a map that outlasts a rumor. She eased forward. The deck bite. The front tires kissed a soft patch, and the whole world held its breath, while the rail flexed, and the culvert pinged, and the Lexus hung there at an angle that tells the truth without using words. Rescue hauled her out. On my bank, soaked and shaking, she pointed at me and told the deputy I set her up, that I sabotaged a community bridge. I handed over the tablet from the dry bag, camera under the rail timestamps, warnings permit, and the deputy nodded the way people nod when puzzle pieces find their spots. "Ma'am," he said, "the signs are clear. The parcel is private. You ignored them." Yeah, that happened. For about 5 minutes, I thought the worst was over, because consequences have a way of teaching even the confident. Then the roller appeared. Bubblegum pink paint. Karen in an HOA volunteer vest, painting my brand new rail at 9:10 a.m. while humming like this was a makeover show. "I called the sheriff," the deputy said. "Put the roller down, or I cite you," she tried to say. Implied easement. Like a magic phrase that unlocks other people's property. And when it didn't work, she threw the roller into the creek and left tracks on my gravel like claw marks. 2 nights later, the under-rail camera caught gloved hands easing a socket over a bolt. A little glint from a thin gold watch I'd seen at my mailbox. And that's where the midpoint twist lives. The moment the story stops being petty and becomes criminal. I didn't shout or sprint. I hit record, called the deputy, kept the lens on her until red and blue broke through the trees, and the flashlight found her crouched at my railing. "Step away from the bridge. Put the tool down," the deputy said. And when she tried the public hazard script again, he held up the trespass warning from earlier, like a mirror, and said the line we all knew had finally arrived. "Karen Whitfield, you are under arrest for criminal trespass and vandalism." The sound that ended it wasn't a speech. It was the click. Handcuffs aren't loud. They're just final. Act 3 is never as big as you think it will be. It's a quiet morning after, with mud on my boots, a binder of receipts that suddenly weigh less a neighborhood discovering that leadership is not a red blazer, but the habit of telling the truth. The county attorney looked at interfered construction notes. The board stopped sending sermons. The neighbors who once sipped lemonade on her lawn stopped answering her texts. I'd love to tell you I took a victory lap. I made coffee. Walked the line, tightened the new lock, and stared at the water until the roar turned back into a river. Nora asked if I felt better. I told her I felt like I won a chess game I never wanted to play, and lost hours. I'll never get back. That's the part people skip when they tell these stories online. Justice is relief, braided with a quiet grief, for the time you spend proving something that was always true. If you came here for a moral, I can give you clear legality. A deed is not a vibe. A map is not a suggestion using, is not owning. But the moral is messier because people are. Control is a quick fix for fear, and when fear grabs a clipboard, it calls itself standards. I don't hate HOAs. I hate what happens when someone believes a title gives them rights over other people's boundaries. I also know this about myself. It felt good to be right to nail that laminated permit, like a little flag that said "Facts live here," and maybe I enjoyed that more than I should have. You can hold two truths at once: that I protected my home, and that I could have been softer in the moments that didn't require iron. The ending you want is probably the one where the community apologizes and brings casseroles. The ending I have is the click of handcuffs. A new president who wears denim and reads the bylaws instead of seasoning them, and a bridge that stands stronger now because we did the boring things. Permits, inspections, cameras that don't care about ego. The controversy lives on the sidewalk. Some neighbors still say I went too far, that I embarrassed her on purpose, that community should trump a map when it's convenient. Maybe they're right in a world where convenience is king. Or maybe the whole point of a line is that it means something when it's hard. The creek still talks at night, low and steady weight and time. The same voice it had the first morning she measured my mailbox and the storm night she cut my chain. And every time I hear it, I'm reminded that physics doesn't vote, and gravity doesn't care about newsletters. So tell me what you think. Did I protect my home or flex on a neighbor? Should an HOA be able to rewrite a map because it's easier than admitting a mistake? Do you buy into implied easement when the deed says otherwise? Drop your take in the comments hit. Like if this hit a nerve, subscribe for more real stories told straight, and share your own HOA horror or miracle neighbor. I'll be in there, reading probably from the porch, listening to the creek, and hoping we learned something that lasts longer than a headline.